welcome to the last one. This is called Rationalising the Denominator. So what that means is just getting rid of the root from the bottom of the fraction, simple as. So if we look at this first question here, we want to rationalise this expression. So we've got 1 over the square root of 3. What I'm trying to do is get the root 3 off the bottom so we don't have a root as a denominator. The way of doing this is just by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same root. So in this case, we've got root 3 as a numerator, root 3 as a denominator. So if we simplify this, 1 times root 3 is just root 3. Now, root 3 times root 3 is root 9, and the square root of 9 is just 3. So we have done that now. That is rationalised. It can be written in this form, or it could actually be written as 1/3 root 3. Personally, I prefer this, but you see both. This one looks more complicated, but the method is exactly the same. What we do is we multiply the numerator by the root that is shown as the denominator. We do the same for the denominator. So we get 3 root 2 at the top as a numerator, and then you've got 6 multiplied by root 2 multiplied by root 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 times 6 is 12. So 6 root 2 times root 2 is 12. This is not finished. Okay, we need to recognise that we can simplify this fraction 3 over 12. So 3 over 12 is 1 over 4. So you could write this as 1 over 4 root 2, or my preference would be root 2 over 4. Let's get a rule sorted then. So if we have this situation here, a divided by root b, all we're doing is multiplying the numerator and denominator by root b to simplify. So you end up with a root b over, well, the square root of b times b is just b, and that is your final answer. So that's your rule. Okay, so we've got a slightly more complex problem here. So in this case, we don't just multiply the numerator and denominator by the root 2. We actually multiply it by 3 and the root 2, but we switch this sign here. So we have 3 minus root 2 as a numerator and 3 minus root 2 as a denominator. I've put these in brackets to make you hopefully see that we're doing 5 times this bracket and this bracket times this bracket. So now we can expand those brackets. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times minus root 2 is minus 5 root 2. This one I'm going to bring down here and just remind you about expanding brackets. If you remember, we used FOIL, so we multiply the firsts. 3 times 3 is 9. We multiply the outsides. That's minus 3 root 2. We multiply the insides. That is plus 3 root 2. And we multiply the lasts. That is minus, well, 2 times 2 is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. Now, the whole purpose of doing this is to get to this situation here, where these two cancel. Because the point of it is rationalising the denominator. In other words, getting the root off the bottom of the fraction. So if we just simplify this now, 9 minus 2 is 7. Minus 3 root 2, add 3 root 2 is 0. So we're just left with 7. So our denominator is 7. And that has been rationalised. So let's look at a rule. So in this case, if we have this situation, what you're actually doing now is you are multiplying the numerator by b minus root c and dividing by b minus root c. The only thing to remember now is if you get this as a negative, these two will be the opposite. They'll both be positives.